serious attack on our country by terrorists in Kashmir, in a place called Pahalgam, on the 22nd of April. I must say that we saw the statement by Brazil. We were also very touched by President Lula telephoning our Prime Minister personally to express his concern and condolences. But as you know, in the couple of weeks that followed, absolutely no action was taken to bring the perpetrators to heel or even to look for them in Pakistan. We have identified 4 of them that crossed over from the other side, but there's absolutely no effort made. So finally the government decided it had to send a very strong message. And this is why on the 7th of May, India struck 9 terrorist bases. And I say this very carefully. You know, Celso, from your years at the United Nations, and I think this is the first time I'm seeing you in an Indian capacity. I've always met you as a UN official. Let me say that here we are looking at organizations listed by the 1267 Committee at the UN. These are organizations whose terrorist standing is not in doubt. They're also on the terrorist designate list of the United States government. And their headquarters, base camps.
But in the United Nations also.
Yes, in the sanctions, Terrorist Sanctions Committee, 1267 Committee. So I just wanted to say that we chose targets very carefully where every one of them was clearly and explicitly linked to, or the base of, or the training camp of one of these proscribed organizations. Second, we took great care to do so at night, 1:05 to 1:30 in the morning, to minimize any risk of collateral damage, civilians and so on. Normal life was, everyone should be asleep at that time. And then we also explicitly avoided any Pakistani government target, any civilian target, and any military target. So the whole idea was to signal we are not trying to start a war, we are just conducting retribution for an act of terror, which was a really vile act. 26 people killed. They singled out the men on the basis of their religion. They shot them dead in front of their wives and children. It was really horrendous. And it was meant, of course, to do the maximum possible damage to India, to disrupt the Kashmiri economy, which was booming, to end the prospects of tourism flourishing in Kashmir. Tourism had gone up by 100% in the preceding 12 months, to also perhaps create a communal backlash in India, because these people said, are you Hindu? Bang. Can you recite the first verse of the Quran? Then we spare you. And in fact, they spared one man because he could recite. And this was clearly intended to send the message, it is our religion that is killing you. And so the hope was that there would be a backlash back in India. And the Indian people, thank God, had the maturity to stay united.
No
absolutely nothing like that. There were heightened tensions for maybe 24 hours, some minor incidents in university campuses and so on, but thereafter the whole country rallied behind. And in fact, once the operation started, you would be so impressed to see the strength of opinion of all sections. And in fact, I'm proud to say that every one of our parliamentary delegations going around the world has this diversity of religion I mentioned. Mr. Sarfraz Ahmed is from the Muslim community, is strongly, solidly with us. We've had others leading voices from the Muslim community. And of course, the Kashmiri people, the Kashmiri chief minister, who was elected in an election with a 64% turnout quite recently. He has been really exemplary in speaking up for India and against this hateful terrorism. But you see, Celso, you understand these phenomena so well. I don't want to preach to somebody as knowledgeable as you are. But this is a particularly troubling matter because it is about the use of terrorism as an instrument of state policy. When we struck those terror bases on the 7th, as I said, every one of those bases identified linked to terror. Next morning, there is a funeral at one of the sites, conducted by a person who's also named in the committee, Hafiz Abdul Rauf, who's an elite figure named in the United Nations Sanctions Committee. He is conducting the funeral, and look who's attending. Uniformed officers of the police and military of Pakistan. These are all military officers, and there are a couple of police people, senior officials. This is what is going on in Pakistan to systematically undermine the Indian state. It has begun at the end of the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan, when you had a whole bunch of mujahideen trained and ready to be unleashed